Hey, train your plants every day. George Scope coming at you from the S.T.E.M lab this morning. Now, I've been working at Johnson and Rhodes for a couple of weeks now. Doing pretty good. Got me jumping around, getting back into the swing of things, busting some rust off my chisel there, um, firing up my striker, and things are going pretty good there. I've been trying to be motivated and do stuff about it. Obviously, there's a lot going on with it. I mean, obviously my S.T.E.M lab is set up a little differently right now. So right now I've just been working on the physics and the psychology of it. I mean, for me it doesn't matter which way down the rabbit hole I go, really. Um, just I want to start with that. But anyways, so I got my Facebook page set up right now, and I'm going real heavy with the psychology on motivation and some other ones. I've been studying a lot of those motivational videos and stuff like that, and I know I got a safety meeting today, a 3/4 day safety meetings thing like that with the OSHA worker that they have up there at the dock, which is great. Usually I don't mind them. They're not that bad. You get to sit in the office and do some stuff and get paid for it. It's great. But no, for the most part, every once in a while they'll have some really good information on there. For me personally, I look at it way beyond just the safety features. One, I just always try to be as safety conscious as possible. It's all quantum mechanics, it's all forms, it's all forces, it's all mechanics. Little tiny steps that make up not just, the safety features, but productivity, work ethic, product, and it'll just all tie in together, entanglement and quantum gravities. So the motivational ones, there's a lot of them that I've been using. I've been using bodybuilding, sports training, military, time management ones, and just your regular all go get around. You can do anything. Anything's possible if you put your mind to it, and do that kind of stuff to it. And all in all, some of the workout ones, they're really good, except for you're dealing with those Atlas guys that are just huge. And with the sports training ones, it's like we'll get into a tennis conversation about it and how that's really similar to the workplace. You got a thing like this, but those athletes that take to the next level. I use tennis just because it's so rudimentary to what has to be done. There's only so many moves, but math is like a fist fight if you understand form, and then somebody's going to step. That's A, B. There's a counterbalance to every balance that you do in the universe. But in a tennis match, every single position on this half of the tennis court has fundamental how hard you have to hit it. And when you get really good, when you take it to that next level, that just becomes second nature. And then you could put some X to the course, that's the Y, and then some spin on that Z factor, or the curvature of general relativity. Your general of relativity. Well, what's not just going to be this clink, hit it back and forth and play tennis for all day. You want to win. You want to. Military is great, but the only thing I have with military is when I did Army survival and I rewrote it a little bit for A mechanics. When I did my first version of this, I took the Army psychology and you break it down and you change it out to A mechanics, because a rock out in the woods, that'll help you survive. You utilize all your resources and change all this thing, but it's also about containing that bullet. Flint napping and taking an arrowhead, that was a game changer in terms of war, in terms of the way the world worked at it. And that's just some basic physics. That's just some doing some little things. And if you can understand that, if you can capitalize on that, that's the kind of thing that'll stop that war from happening. It's the educational features, it's the management, it's the time regions about making 1 billion arrows and things like that, or how specifically one arrow can change the game. One of those calculations, one of those managerial, one of those time aspects, one of those can totally turn it around for you. With that, you get a lot of those general, anything's possible. And I believe that it's the quantum nature of the universe, but it does take time. You got to really be able to drive and dedicate yourself to this. Hand on the wheel, ass in the seat. That's where all the problems happen. You can't blame other people. You have to say something. You have to do something. Sometimes you let it slide. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you really don't have time. General relativity. When you understand this stuff, it is one of those things. Time can be a real problem, even though it's an illusion. You may not have time to do those skills. You may not have time to do those conversations and things like that. But that's not going to stop you from doing them. That's not going to stop you from looking at a rock, just a rock on the ground. That's the same rock that we make the product out of. We're rolling it uphill all day. The one that we cut on the table, or the one I'm burning, or the one I'm rock facing or honing, or cutting in the bays, or whatever, whatever anybody's doing. It's all the same rock. It's just a massless photon at that point until you determine the quantum mechanics that go behind each individual process, because each are very different. But let's take a little rock that you've been kicking around the shop. It's been driving you crazy, getting under your feet and things like that. Well, that's a radioactive isotope, actually, in the stone dock. And what do I mean by that? Well, you have the opportunity to keep your shop clean. You have the opportunity to take that rock and pick it up and understand, man, this place is dirty, or clean it, or take it to that next level with a managerial aspect, with a work ethic aspect, with a safety officer's aspect. Now think about it. Now, you're just a guy that picked it up before, but then you're a person that has the mindset to think, oh, this is a safety conversation. This is a quantum mechanics conversation. This is a radioactive isotope that can fuel some of the conversations that go into my manager office or whatever conversation. Just being a grinder all day, that's a big rock right there. I gotta throw that in the dumpster. Otherwise I'd just be kicking it around. I'm gonna trip over it, and it'll go to critical mass when I do, and I trip and I smash my face off of it, or the shop's a mess for an hour extra longer at the end of the day when I could have just walked past it one of those times and picked it up and throw it away. It'll stack up time, not only time, but physically in front of you about just tripping and being dangerous sometimes. There's a lot of other ways to do it. So you're on this tennis court and you're a pro. You're not just that guy going, You're that one going, you're banging it out. It's the difference. Or you get over there and you just tink and you drop it over the thing. Because, sometimes that's all it is. Sometimes that's all it takes to pick up on some of those things to make that really big difference. So, like I was saying, I got that safety meeting coming up today, and again, I really like them. It's always good. It's psychological. For me personally, you got all the equipment right there in front of you. You got saws. You got a direct physics class. You got rotational forces and gears and pulleys and fluid dynamics over the saw and stone, and diversified inconsistencies, and everything that'll help you count up everything to be productive and keep all your digits so you can maintain safety, because when you understand quantum mechanics, it's going to be more productive, it's going to be safer, because that stuff becomes quantum law. That becomes physical law, basically the laws of motion. And there really shouldn't be too many outside forces that you don't understand. When this hits this, at this angle, at this speed, it's going to do exactly what it's supposed to do. And there really isn't anything outside of the realm of understanding when it comes into that kind of model. Except for cigarette breaks, right? But anyways. I mean, they'll make you do the thing, sit in the office, write the test. And for me, it's just a, what do they call them there? A marshmallow experiment. They want to test your dedication. Are you out there playing with your phone? Are you, it helps them predict, where they can set you in the dock, what jobs you're apt to do, just off first glance, the why factor. Why can't I? Positive and negative features here. But also with that, help them predict, what kind of guys they're going to need for the year. There's all kinds of psychological stuff you can get by setting 10 guys in an office like that with one officer that's meant to just sit here and watch this video. Just do this basic handwritten test. Can you read? Can you do this? Are you going to take it seriously? Do you take this little stuff seriously? Because think about that little stuff that turns into real big safety issues later. Alright, without that said, like I said, sometimes you'll pick up some little really cool tricks and systems and stuff like that. One, how to be a better safety officer at all times. That's something a manager has to know, something an owner of a business, if you ever want to take it to that level, is going to need to know. Your own business. You know, why isn't your life as good? Because you don't study this shit. You got to. It's very important, especially if you're going to take other people into your job, unless you're going to grind yourself. You know, by all means, I can't say that's the wrong answer. But you're probably going to still have to know this by constitutional law and what it takes. Every once in a while there'll be a big one in the shop. They'll help you train how to do the job a little bit more efficiently as well. It gives you a little bit of insight. It gives you a little bit of preset ability to understand a place before they get there, depending on which one it is going to be. I imagine there's going to be some of it in a 3/4 day. But with that said, you know, I like all that stuff. I'll probably go out and get my OSHA tags one day. But me personally, I don't like those kinds of meetings on it because I think you can do the same thing in the shop. It's a stone dock, it's a psychology lab, it's a STEM testing principle, how to be time efficient, how to reference your body mechanics, form files, function, and technique a little bit more specifically, right there in the shop. And I've kind of seen them before, so I know what generally to expect here. They're always a little different. We'll see what goes on today with it. But for me, with the resumes and the stuff I did with the gantry saws and CNC machines and landscapers maps and carpentry quotes and all those things, you know, when you're doing that, why not just take them right out to the machines? Why not all these machines? This planet is a planet where organisms eat organisms every day. That saw, it does not like you. It will just sit there like googly eyes and look at you just like that rock will on that table unless you move it, unless you're going to do something with it to be safe and efficient and productive with this system. Otherwise, you're just going to be that guy that takes it off the table, sets it on this pallet. That's not for me. I'm a quantum mechanics expert. This is one of my why factors. Managerial skills are one of my why factors. Safety officers are one of my why factors. And universal field theory, at all times it applies. Out in the middle of a survival situation, out in the woods, in a McDonald's, in a stone dock, and it doesn't matter to me. It's just some of them. Some other why factors is I like this because, bah. Just a couple. So with that, you know, here's this fork truck. It don't like you. It wants to hurt you every chance it gets. If it doesn't want to hurt you, it's going to reach out and grab that person over there and run them over the tires. That's what it wants to do. It's a machine. It follows mechanics. If you apply to the laws of motion and you're not correct about those understandings of those things, it will run you over. The machine will break. If those links aren't perfect on that thing while you're doing the job, doing two things at once, because your time management is off the chain, you're just awesome about it. You can look at some of those things. You're stopped, you're waiting, I'm waiting for somebody to move. While I'm doing that, I'm looking at the links to make sure that they're all good. I'm checking the hours on the machine to make sure it's good. In the morning, before I clock in or I do anything, when I'm all set up and backed up on the entire day, when I got to get this stuff out of here, I check the oil. I'm checking all those things. Are the tires good? Are those things? How much area do I have? Is there a better way to set that up so when I'm doing all these moves with these huge kind of weird objects on my forks, is it going to be safer? Do I have little systems so when I'm underneath something and I pop them up a little bit and it gets a little like this, I can just drop it down right back to the ground, scooch my forks over and take 1 second to do this because it's safe, it's productive, it's going to make you look way better, it's going to make you a better operator, all in the same second, just because you picked up this little on the forks to make it solid. Are you doing those kinds of things? Are you working at the saws? Are you keeping your area clean so you're not sticking to the floor and slipping? Is there a system, a process, a system that every machine you touch takes? Every hand working process is the same: rock facing, hand honing, thermaling, unloading the bays, blocks, treads. Treads you fold back, block you get up under and you break the lips off of them. And that's quantum law in these places because it's going to keep you better productive, it's going to make you look better, it's going to be way safer, it's going to make everybody, yourself and the team and us as humans, look like better people. Get on it.